Let's bring in MS Now reporter Nnamdi Egwuonwu in Minneapolis, Minnesota. MS Now White House reporter Laura Barone-Lopez is back with us. Boston Globe Washington Bureau Chief Jackie Kucinich and Ron Insana for his first official appearance as an MS Now business analyst. Good to see all of you. Nnamdi, you are in the city that held the flagship No Kings protest back in March. So what's going on there today and what is the goal?
Well, on a busy day expected here in Minneapolis, but we're starting at an event that really speaks to the intent behind May Day, International Workers' Day, which is a hotel strike you see behind me. You know, the workers I've spoken to, they tell me that they are petitioning for better wages, for a livable wage. They're asking for about a $2 wage increase, and they tell me that, you know, this is a workforce that includes a lot of immigrants, a lot of lower income people that just don't feel they should have to work 2 or 3 jobs just to afford basic necessities. I spoke to one person who's currently striking behind me, someone who's with this group, and he explained to me that you have to remember this is a community still recovering from the surge of immigration agents we saw here. There were members of this workforce that didn't even feel comfortable going into the office, didn't feel comfortable coming in for fear of being approached by immigration agents. So they tell me that as the city works to recover, on one hand, it's a community that's come together that has supported one another, but also the onus is on businesses, and they want to push for better conditions. I want to play for you a portion of my conversation with one of these striking workers about why he decided to come out here today and what things have been like the last couple of months. Take a listen.
Dude, I need to get like just basic clothes, just basic like, yeah, undergarments. I need to get through meals, food. I'd like to live like healthily. I'd like to have like nice quality food in my life, you know, and also like have a little bit of a savings account, be able to go take a trip somewhere, have vacation, be able to support somebody you love if you want to raise a family, something like that, you know. Right now, I think all of us are really just getting paycheck to paycheck. Like it's this economy has been really tough, and we're trying to fix that.
Now, just to give you a sense, Ron, what you heard from him is what we've heard from a lot of people, not just here, but across the country. They're struggling to make rent. They want to see a savings account. They need more disposable income. As far as what we're expecting in the city throughout today, these striking workers, there's going to be a larger vote in a couple hours about whether or not they're going to formally authorize a larger, lengthier strike as they work to secure better wages. I will also note as the city works to recover from that immigration surge, the mayor, Jacob Fry, announced that he's actually releasing $1 million in grants that'll be geared towards supporting struggling businesses. And as far as May Day goes, there's going to be a much larger march later today at 4:30, where the city's going to come together and again pick up where No Kings Day left off and protest against this administration, Anna.
Nnamdi Egwuonwu, they certainly are drawing a lot of attention, aren't they? Thank you for your reporting. Laura, how's the White House responding to today's May Day events?
Well, largely like they have done in the past with events like this, the president isn't always trying to draw attention to them and not necessarily directly responding. But, you know, one thing that the administration is very aware of, that the president, his political aides are aware of, is the fact that his poll numbers are down on the economy and that he is not doing well when it comes to trying to sell to the American public what is happening with the economy, and especially as gas prices are going up due to the war in Iran and the disruption of the global oil market, as well as the fact that inflation is going up. Now, one thing the Commerce Department tried to highlight recently was the fact that gross domestic product expanded at some 2% rate during the first quarter of 2026. But ultimately, voters are not happy with what is happening. And you've seen the president just the other day saying that gas prices are going to drop like a rock when the war in Iran is over. And despite the recent claims by the administration to say that this is wrapping up, the Strait of Hormuz still remains largely closed and the blockade continued. So these are things that are on voters' minds, and it's something that the administration has not really figured out in terms of how to message going into the midterms. And I've heard from allies of the president, Republicans, who have said that they feel as though the White House and the president's political operation has not really come to a really good message on this at all, let alone policies that would potentially counteract it on them.
Laura Barone-Lopez, thank you. Ron, protest organizers are calling for no school, no work, no shopping today. Could this economic blackout cause a dent?
If it lasted longer than one day, Anna, sure. I don't think one day is enough to really do it. The economy is still growing, obviously, with the 2% GDP growth that was just cited, largely coming, by the way, from the build out of AI infrastructure. Consumer spending was actually a little on the soft side. If these things were to continue on a regular basis and there were buyers boycotts and things like that with respect to retail purchases and so on and so forth, yeah, it could have an impact on the economy. I don't think one day off is going to really affect the economy one way or another. And so you've got really at this juncture, if you're going to protest or try to bring the economy to its knees, which is holding up reasonably well, much more would need to be done than just a single day protest, even if it, crossed the entire country.
Jackie, the organizers say today's events are inspired by those No King protests and that they've doubled in size from last year. One organizer telling The Guardian, quote, Minneapolis really gave us the biggest push in real time to do it. We have a long way to go to take massive disruption actions like in other countries where people will go on general strikes and they can shut down their country. But I think we're getting more and more close to people having consciousness about their own power as workers. Jackie, how significant is this movement?
I think the open question as we get closer to the midterms and even as primaries are already underway is how these No Kings rallies can turn their turnout into turnout at the ballot box, because that is actually what is going to affect change at the end of the day, is if they decide to change their elected representatives, if they decide that the Senate needs to change hands. That remains to be seen. But certainly, as you note, we've seen massive turnouts at a lot of these rallies because people are looking for a way to register their discontent with the current state of the country through protesting and through going out to these events. But we're 6 months away, 5 months away from November, and time will tell whether they're able to mobilize in that regard.
And we keep hearing from people across the country who are really feeling the high cost of living, especially those gas prices amid this Iran war. I want to play what some residents in Michigan are saying about it. Listen.
I have family members who are ill, and I can't go visit them across the state or up north because it's too expensive right now to drive. With gas almost $5 a gallon, that's just ridiculous.
Gas prices don't affect just gas prices. It's also the price of groceries. It's the price, of just everything that's in the economy. We have adults that are going without food at times so their children can eat. We're in the richest country in the world. That should never be happening.
And gas prices jumped again overnight, 9 cents from just yesterday, Ron, 33 cents from just last week. What else are you watching right now when it comes to broader economic concerns?
Well, certainly this is a hit to consumer pocketbooks and to the extent that they're having to make choices between basic necessities. That's when things really obviously show up in consumer sentiment. And consumer sentiment is sitting at the lowest measured level since 1957. So clearly the cost of living is first and foremost on the minds of many Americans, particularly middle income and lower income individuals who are struggling not only with gasoline prices, but with home heating or air conditioning costs, with the price of groceries, child care, health insurance, car insurance, home insurance, all of those are elevated. In fact, yesterday it was reported that the Fed's preferred measure of inflation is running at about 3.5%. The Fed wants inflation at 2%. So this is a very much a lived experience that is not comporting with the White House message that, on the one hand, gasoline prices are coming down, they're not, or that people are seeing, a more disposable income. They're getting a one-time pop from slightly larger tax refunds, but they're going to burn through those in a month. So this is real stuff. It needs real answers. And in fact, oil prices won't come down until many months after the war between the United States and Iran comes to a conclusion, whenever that might be.
Jackie, it seems like the answer from Republicans is simply don't believe what you actually feel. Here's what we're hearing from some in Congress.
You go back 2 years ago, we were paying almost $6 a gallon for gasoline. Right now, it's in the threes. Today, we are 30% below where we were 2 years ago.
I think 2 years ago, in April of 2024, we were at about $3.65. So we're actually above where we were then.
I think gas prices, I hate them going up. It's terrible that we have higher gas prices, but the trade-off is we're going to live in freedom and democracy, and we don't have a lunatic that's going to drop a nuclear weapon on us.
Gas prices continue to come down, which means that your groceries will come down a little bit as well.
Gas prices are coming down. I mean, that's not even close to the truth, Jackie. This week we heard those comments. Are voters going to buy those messages?
I mean, I don't think they're going to have any extra cash to buy those messages because of how much gas prices and groceries cost. Listen, this didn't work during the Biden administration when you had President Biden trying to convince people that, no, the economy's good, everything's good, just trust me on this. It didn't work then, and I don't think it's going to work now. Now, the real question is whether Republicans can turn this around in just a few short months. And if you're looking at these projections, it doesn't look like that is in the cards.
Quick final thought, Ron?
Yeah, there's no question that this war is going to have a much longer tail than people realize. It's not just affecting gasoline and oil, but it's affecting fertilizer. And we're in the growing season right now. 70% of farmers are going to have to curtail and cut back the amount of planting that they undertake this year. And then when you look at the rest of the world, it's getting hit even harder. Helium is going up in price and is unavailable. That goes into computer chips. So we can see supply disruptions that are somewhat akin to what happened during the pandemic. This is far from being over.